And he's off to a hot start. The president stuffing the pockets of Americans with a $100 billion tax refund bonanza. The strategy is simple. Put money in voters' wallets and get rewarded at the polls. All right, so Dana, they're calling this the official 2026 kickoff of the midterms. How is it going so far?
Well, so last week when President Trump was on his way to Davos, Susie Wiles, the chief of staff, went to the back of the plane, and she told the reporters this will likely be one of his last foreign trips for a while. He is going to be focused on the midterms, although I think he's going to China in April. But they're going to focus, and this is one of the first stops. Smart to go to Iowa. Obviously, that's a red state, but there's also another reason that he went to Iowa. There's farmers who got concerns, and also the Republicans in the state, they're going to get a run for their money if the Democrats are highly motivated. I love when presidents get out of D.C. They can go and meet the people, see the people. Like, he's going to love being at the rally today, but it also forces those states where you might have an issue like with a lack of enthusiasm for voters. Your local press, your local social media is going to be focused on the visit. And even if you have an energized left and you have a Republican president whose polling should, in his mind, be better than it is, what he can say is that, well, the Democrats have it much worse than he does. And so they're not in any great shape either. I think that the projection on the tax returns is really good, but the projection on economic growth is incredible. We haven't seen a number. If that is true, if they get to a 5.4% or so, as they're projecting, we haven't seen that in many, many moons.
Yep, we're going to run it pretty hot, Tyrus.
That's the way we do it.
I love your blazer, by the way.
Oh,
that is a blazer. Is that my blazer?
Well, Johnny hooked me up. It's not yours because you would never the traps and the double buys.
Yeah, that is true. I think it's
here, but
it's our tailor.
We took two of your jackets and sewed them together.
Sewed them together.
Because you have a very hourglass hips. You know, in another lifetime.
Are you confusing me with Will Cain?
No, some would argue Will Cain has childbearing hips, completely different. But speaking of childbearing, this is what I feel like the president's doing. He has to push these Republicans out. Like, don't they understand how important this is?
Yeah.
He's the reform president. We're making changes. And this is the one time where the 3 million to 5 million people who watch politics and stay on top, we know what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. It's the rest of the country who's living their lives, who don't watch TV, that just vote. Well, I'm a Democrat, so here's my vote. That's who you got to get paying attention. And that means guys, boots on the ground in those communities. President Trump should be like, I will come to your town and help you when you do 5 rallies and you get to this point and you move up this. Then the president will come, hit the home run, clean up for you. But he's having to build this from the ground up. And I think that's a lot to ask given what's going on the entire world right now. He has a lot on his plate.
And so, Harold, as a Democrat, do the Democrats want Trump out front and center, dominating the airwaves, going to all of these swing states?
I do. Good to be with everybody. I do, because when you get to this point 9 months out from a midterm and 9 months out from a president running for re-election, voters generally win if both sides are angling and working furiously, fastidiously to try to deliver for people. It was interesting to hear the president there, Jesse, as he was in that, I think it was a diner or a restaurant, it looked like. And he said, he was citing history, saying only 2 times out of 50 do the midterms work out in favor of the person in the White House, which means he's looking at the poll numbers. And I think that's a good thing. You look at one of our in-house newspapers, the Wall Street Journal today, the front page talked about healthcare costs, how some Americans are paying mortgage-style monthly premiums because of the way healthcare costs have gone up, not just for those in the Affordable Care Act, but for those even who have private insurance or may have employer-based insurance. Farmers, DP mentioned it right, there in Iowa, farmers are hurting. We, the taxpayers, have spent some $15 to $20 billion trying to help them, largely because of the president's tariffs. Those aren't my words. Those are the words of the farmers' bureaus there throughout the Midwest and even specifically there in Iowa. I think the president would be smart to think a little bit about and talk a little bit about AI. and how it's going to impact employment patterns and, for that matter, the kind of jobs that will be created. Ms. Wiles is one of the smartest and savviest and most clever political operatives, and obviously an operator there in the White House as chief of staff. But he needs to get back on the road in the United States. I think the focus overseas is one of the reasons why the polling numbers, which are just a snapshot of the moment, say that many Americans believe that the priorities the president is prioritizing are not necessarily their own. Finally, we watched today some numbers, Jesse, say that the country is at an 11-year low when it comes to consumer sentiment. Now, people are still spending, but they're not as excited and optimistic and enthusiastic about that spending. So you asked me a basic question, I'll give you a succinct answer. He's right to be there, and as a Democrat, I'm glad he's there because I want voters to win between now and November.
Emily, do you think the Republican Party can meet the level of excitement that the Democrats say they're at right now?
Yeah, they say that they're at historic double digits turnout amplification. I hope so. But I think to the point about those that don't watch TV, that answer and that surge and that fire will come if people actually are eased, if their burdens are eased. The tax, that $100 billion surge, that's going to be huge. There's a lot of regulations that are still, that we inherited from the prior administration and before, that people are still trying to dig their way out of. I took a $43 and some change Uber yesterday. The driver showed me at the end, he made $17 from that. Mm-hmm. That's the amount that here the state and the city is taking. Now, that's an example where he's going to get even more relief because, first of all, the IRS didn't update their regulations after the big, beautiful bill was passed. So he'll get back more than he expected. But at the end of the day, people like my family included, that we run a small agricultural business, it's a small farm, we see that costs have skyrocketed, the wine. We see that insurance has gone up. We see that bond costs have gone up. So there's tax relief for sure. But those regulations, and I know Administrator Loeffler is working on it, but it's difficult to disentangle ourselves from that. So listen, I'm optimistic, and I'm one of those people that are so grateful for these tax breaks that I see impacting the community. All of my friends in the hospitality business, our small business that employs people who now get breaks on tips and the like, that up until now was totally ignored. I think it's been a really ripe environment for people who want to start out businesses, and finally people who have ideas and dreams actually get to proceed with that and pursue the American dream. But that tax relief, it goes so far, but I think the regulatory relief, that will drive people to the voting polls to say, yes, thank you, and let's keep it exactly how we are.
You said your family owns a vineyard?
Yes, I was also tipped off by that too, Jess. It's very unsettling.
Not a farm, a vineyard.
Well, it's an agricultural
Well, you said
business.
agricultural.
Okay. It sounds like we're kind of dancing around the truth here.
California-ish?
Well, no, it's in Oregon, but I'll say this.
Oh, even further.
We had a vineyard in California. I'll say this because it's important for this, that our business is squarely within the agricultural industry and the alcohol industry. So name me two more highly regulated industries you can't. And so that's why we are an example of sort of drowning under the burden. But these tax breaks made a big deal for us, but so too will the regulatory release.
And the president should do that. We talk about Democrats. This is something squarely in the president's province to do. Republicans control the House and the Senate. It's been a year. I don't know why he's not doing some of these things.
He is. We saw that. Remember with this latest cabinet meeting where they made the point that it's so difficult to disentangle ourselves, these regulations, from what we inherited specifically from the Biden administration, that it's taking a little bit longer. It's difficult.
All you got to do is Mr. President, sign an executive order. You can get it done.
And codify it, legislature.
All right. Save the Campagno Vineyard. President Trump just arrived at the event center in Iowa to kick off his midterms blitz. We'll keep an eye on that. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.